Jonathan, you have done lots of work with integration for different groups. So how we can get together, as Ishak mentioned that, how we can, do you take any kinds of challenge or for young, especially young people, how they can get together, or how can they integrate with any other communities, any faiths?
Yeah, well, it's a good question. We were actually talking about this yesterday. I was doing an interfaith workshop with 10 British Bangladeshi young people in my community, and we were talking about negative stereotypes about young people and young people who are Muslims, and what can we do to counter those stereotypes. And they came up with some fantastic ideas, much better than mine. So can I tell you some of their ideas?
Yes, obviously, yeah.
So they said, one of them, they said, we really would like to have a fun day in our neighborhood, so that people who don't know us can come up and talk to us, and we can get to know them in a comfortable environment. So not just to see people on the street and nod at them, but actually come up and get to know them, know where they live, know more about them. And another one, who is an art student, said that he wants to do more with arts to confront the stereotypes about Muslims and about religion as well, to kind of create a positive image. And to that. So I think there are many ways, and in fact young people usually have a lot of the solutions for the problems that we have. The challenge is how to work with them to make these things happen. So
any kinds of consequence of interfaith integration or interfaith
I think for the young people it's not quite a new thing. I think we have feast, and in Ramadan we had iftar gathering. It was really positive feast. But integration is happening in the schools and everywhere else. You know, people are not comfortable talking about the religion because they don't have a proper identity. Young people are, like that, and that's how we've seen it. I think the more they talk about the faith or the identity, they feel comfortable talking. Because faith group gives you a moral, very standard moral thing. It does give you stuff like that. You forgive people, you think about good about people, you love your neighbors. They are really, really important things they give you. And especially in Islam, he talks about, rahmah, like he talks about, but problem is we're not talking about those good quality of Muslims in Islam at all. We're just talking about other big issues like in Palestine and these kind of issues. We're not talking about the grassroots things, how to forgive people. If your neighbor is hungry and you're eating, you're not Muslim. If you don't forgive the creation of God, he will not forgive you. If you want to please God, you have to forgive his creation. It means everybody else. Even if your dog dies, your responsibility as a Muslim to look after that dog. You will be asked by God, what happened? You are one of the best creation of the world, and you let that dog die without any food and stuff. These things have been not talked about a lot. How do we come out of this? I run a boxing club. I help them if their parents are interested to know. We run a boxing club on Sundays. I call Milestone. If they want to know taekwondo, we run a taekwondo in every Saturday. We have also football on Sundays. There are lots of things we can get the people involved. If they're isolated and doing nothing, that's where the problem starts. You shouldn't be isolated.
From this segment, our last question, we are ending of this segment. Last question to Jonathan: how we can promote interfaith integration among young people? How we can promote that?
Yeah, I think the first thing and most important thing is to speak to young people and ask them, what do they want to see different? What do they want to see change in their community? And usually when I mentioned this conversation yesterday, they come up with really good ideas, and then we as adults should help them to make these ideas become reality. So whatever those ideas are, to work together, to invite a neighbor over for tea or a dinner, to do something to improve our community. I think we should let young people take the lead, and we can support them to make those dreams become true.
And within 1 minute, you can tell to our viewers, just from yourself, tell something with integration with different faiths.
Yeah, good. I think it's really true. There's a concept in South Africa where I used to live. It's called Ubuntu, which means that if something affects one person, it affects all of us. And I think if we realize that if my neighbor is suffering, then also I am suffering, then that's where we can become a better community and make a difference, regardless of whether we're Christian, Muslim, atheist. If we care for our neighbor, that's where we make a difference.
You can get another 30 seconds.
Oh wow! Oh,
Yeah.
13. and I grew up in an area which was segregated. My parents actually, by law, I know you know in the U.S. where it was actually people were not allowed to live together from different races, and I can see how bad that is, how bad it is for our society. So we as people, we shouldn't choose to live in that way. The more that we reach out and speak to someone who's different than us, then we'll become better people, and also our community will become stronger. So that's what I encourage you to do.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks,
We have to leave you. We are ending of this segment. Dear viewers, we'll go to a short break. After short break, we'll continue our program. Thank you very much. Thank you for watching. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.